Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's your reluctant Gringo back from south of the border, and it's here. It's Thanksgiving. Oh, it's the night of Thanksgiving, and I'm fighting that tryptophan. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's the chemical in turkey that makes you sleepy. That's why everybody wants to take a nap after Thanksgiving dinner. But anyway, so I'm fighting it. Still fighting it, been fighting it all this while. Then I went ahead and had more, which probably didn't help my situation. But you know what? Love it. Love it. Love it. Had a great time, great dinner with my wife today. So that was awesome, celebrating Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to you and yours and everybody out there. And some of you may be sleeping. Some of you are watching and you're probably getting ready for Black Friday, which is so different than what it used to be. And thank God for that. I'll tell you that right now. I didn't buy anything on Black Friday. I bought dinner. I bought dinner today. That was what I bought. I don't really go in for Black Friday. I'll tell you why, because I used to have to work the damn thing. And if anybody out there has ever worked retail, you're a different breed. I truly believe that. You know, people in retail, they get crapped on all the time, but they're a different breed of people because they take a lot of crap. It's like being a porta potty all day. You're going to catch crap all day. That's what you do. So all the retail folk out there who might be working or who might be listening, man, I was with you for 20 years. I know what you went through, and I salute you. Believe me, I know it's tough. So, but let's get into some stuff because, Black Friday is not going to be as smooth for one large retailer. I mean, Kohl's is shit to bed. They just posted another third quarter loss. So they're going down the tubes, and they've been going down the tubes for a while. I almost went to work for Kohl's. Before I went to work for Apple, they actually offered me the store manager position in a store in northern Michigan, Traverse City. I had no idea what Traverse City. I had just moved to Michigan. I was living in Kalamazoo with my family. We loved it. We loved our house. We had only been in our house for 6 months. I was like, well, I'm not going to commute because, well, first of all, if you're from Michigan, by the way, some of you are going to know this. So sorry if I'm telling you something you already know. But if you're from Michigan, people, when they say, oh, you're from Michigan, where are you from? They put up their hand because Michigan, they think, looks like a hand, and then they point. Like, I'm from Detroit. I'm from Kalamazoo. I'm from Traverse City. And I'm like, okay. So anyways, Kalamazoo's down here, and Traverse City's way up here in the Upper Peninsula. So I wasn't going to commute. I wasn't going to move my family, so I said no. And probably the best decision I made because I ended up working for Apple, which is Kohl's is Kohl's. I don't want to shit on Kohl's. But Apple, I mean, largest company in the world or one of them. So I think I made the right choice. But anyways, so Kohl's having a tough time, but that's not who we're talking about. We are talking about, let's share the screen here. I know you guys love it when I do this. Bing, bang, boom. Woo, there it is. Oh, that lady just looked angry there. It flashed across the screen there. She looks angry. Amazon VP on using AI. She looks angry.
So session highs.
Very angry. So we're going to pause that. Anyways, Amazon workers plan to strike between Black Friday and Cyber Monday in several countries, including the U.S. And I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly about this. First of all, Amazon. I was really curious when I saw this because, wherever you fall, workers have rights to unionize if they want. And that's fine. If they think that's going to help them, personally, I don't. I've got union horror stories. I'll tell a few in a minute. But my problem with this story is I was looking everywhere. I read, before getting online here, before streaming, I read through 12 different news articles on this very story because I wanted to know what the problem was that the workers at Amazon had. And there's nothing specifically named in these articles. Now, is that on purpose? Is it just because it's the news and they're protecting Amazon because Amazon gives a lot of money to all these places, advertising, all that fun stuff? That could be it. It could be it. But Amazon workers, here, I'm going to close this because I don't want to look at the blonde lady. Amazon workers in more than 20 countries, including the United States, plan to strike during the busy pre-Christmas shopping days between Black Friday and Cyber Monday to make Amazon pay, strike organizers said Thursday. This is the 5th year in a row they've done this, by the way. The days of resistance. Okay, everybody calm down. And days of resistance. Trump gets elected. The governors are having resistance. And now Amazon with resistance. What are we resisting here? Stop resisting. Just let's all figure it out and calm down. It's friggin' Christmas. Aim to hold Amazon accountable for labor abuses, which they never name, environmental degradation, which they never call out, would never actually specify, which, any one of those two, I have empathy for, right? Okay, labor abuses, no one should ever be abused as a laborer, right? You should be given, breaks, you're given your ample time to eat, food, whatever, proper conditions, environmental conditions. Now, environmental degradation, are they hurting the environment? I mean, that wouldn't be anything new. I guess that would, depending on where they are too as well. And threats, this is the one that gets me, threats to democracy. Now, I had to read into this one a little bit and kind of figured out the threat to democracy is that Amazon as a company is paying a lot of money, millions and millions and millions of dollars to fight the idea to so here's how it works. So it's not like, all right, if you've got a little factory, if you work in a fulfillment center in, say, Staten Island, New York, which there is one there, and the people in that facility decide to unionize, they get together and they vote, which is a protected right, the National Labor Relations Act, which is a real thing. It's a big deal. I had to learn all about it as being part of management and retail at two different companies. Workers if you're not a manager, you don't qualify for this. But if you're just a regular hourly worker, you have the right to gather and sort of discuss the idea whether you want to be part of a union or not. Well, the people at the Staten Island, New York place did that, and they voted yes, we want to be a union. So the people there have a union. That does not mean all of Amazon is in a union. It has to go section by section, place by place, all that. So places in Alabama and whatnot, they had a vote, it failed, so no union. And so Amazon does what they can to try to persuade without breaking the law, and it's really hard. I'll give you an idea how easy it is to break the law. When I was a manager for Apple or Target, if I was walking down the street and a bunch of my employees were in a building right on that street, and they were in there and they were talking about unionizing. I had no idea. I was just walking the street. I'm going to go buy cigarettes or whatnot because I used to smoke, right? No clue. I'm totally oblivious. But I walk by, the door is open, and I as I'm walking by, I look in the door and I see all my workers and I wave hi. I have just violated the National Labor Relations Act. Yep. That is how easy it is to violate that. So, I mean, the workers are very, very, you have so many protections when you're trying to unionize. Well, okay, so they unionized, some didn't, but the company pays a lot of money. Believe me, as a manager, they paid a lot of money to send us out on retreats and things like that for like 2 or 3 days. And the only thing we were doing was role playing and figuring out how to combat unions, how to be better managers so people don't want to form unions and things like that. It's a whole thing. Unions have a lot of money. I'll tell you my horror story for unions I've got a couple of them in a minute, right? And why I think some unions are just, they take it too far, and this is where they get a bad reputation. But here's my problem with this whole story. These problems have existed. Now, this is the 5th year in a row they've done this, had days of resistance. But if you're going to strike and you're trying to hurt or get the attention of Amazon, strike some other time. All you're doing now is you're not just being a pain in the ass to Jeff Bezos, which I'm fine with being a pain in the ass to Jeff Bezos. I think he could probably use some pain. But you're being like the people who are sitting at home getting on Amazon going, oh, I need this gift for my son, or I need this gift for my daughter-in-law, whatever, right? People who are shopping, trying to get gifts for Christmas, who saved up their money all year. They don't need this hassle to be like, well, you're not going to get your gift delivered on time. You're not going to get it when you need it. And I think that's where, you lose, like, people like me go, okay, this was coming. You knew you could have done this last month, or you could wait until you do it next month. Obviously, this is an ongoing issue. It's been ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. Why do it now? Why hurt people, right? Granted, the other side of the argument, well, that's when the most eyeballs will be on the story or whatnot. Well, guess what? Most eyeballs will look at that and go, because people are interested in things that are that concern them, personally invested in them. All right. And I say that this is gonna backfire on the people trying to unionize. They're gonna look greedy. They're gonna look vindictive. They're gonna look like they're trying to hurt. To me, that's how it plays out. All right. So Amazon not having a fun day, not having a fun weekend, not gonna have a fun Cyber Monday. If all these people strike, now there's no word on how many are going to strike. I mean, this could be like just 100 people in each country striking. So there's a lot of not knowns about this story, which makes it even more kind of like murky. And the guy who's running it, the UNI Global Union's General Secretary, Christy Hoffman, said in a statement shared with Fox Business, quote, in Germany, Verdi has led the charge for over a decade demanding collective bargaining rights. That's fine. A fight that resonates across the globe. From India to the United States, the UK to Canada, workers are rising against exploitation and corporate intimidation. Quote, make Amazon payday is a powerful testament to our unity and momentum. No company, no matter how wealthy, can silence the cause of workers demanding justice. Okay. And that's fine. But like I said, know who your target is, and everything's got unintended consequences. So you're going to hurt regular people, which that makes me lose a little bit of do I really care about your strike now? So anyways, Amazon stock down $2 with that. I don't think I really care because it's up and down like that. That's nothing. Amazon just says it's all a false narrative. Everybody's lying, which of course you expect them to say that everybody's lying. Anyways, that's Amazon. So if you're using Amazon, be ready for anything. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe everything's fine for you. Great, awesome. Maybe you get a message saying, hey, we're not going to be able to get that there on time. We're not going to be able to ship that. Or maybe that's not available because that warehouse across the globe is closed down. I don't know. But it could have consequences. It could have nothing. We'll see. But again, Black Friday. Oh, man. So Black Friday. I was going to tell you my union story. So I got a couple of union stories. So I used to have to deal a lot with unions back in New England, working for Target. And because we used to do I used to be one of those people that, they were going to remodel the building. I would be store side in charge of that whole process. And then there'd be a construction side. And that's where all the union workers are. So anyways, we were remodeling this one place. Everything was going fine. All the work happens overnight. Everything's unionized. All the work was done by the unions. And we had this great carpenter who would come in and help us out. He's a union carpenter. He would come in, he would do this stuff, and fabulous guy. And he had a 16-year-old son with him. And he had a 16-year-old son. He didn't tell anybody. Maybe he should have. I don't know. I don't see the big deal. I think people overreacted. He wanted his 16-year-old son to learn the business, learn how to be a carpenter, learn to work. And it's the middle of summer, so there's no school. So he's like, hey, he brought his 16-year-old son with him. Now, probably breaking some rules there as far as labor law, didn't tell anybody, just walked in, right? The kid didn't look 16, so no one bothered to ask him. Yes, there is security on these things. And no, I was not part of that security. I wish I knew. So anyways, well, as a 16-year-old, you can't be a part of the union. So he didn't have a union card. So all the other union members were pissed off, right? They pissed off. They were threatened, But instead of saying, hey, we're not going to work, we're going to do this, we would complain, or come to me and say, hey, or go to somebody and say, hey, this is a problem. What they did is, while the son and the father were in there working on whatever they were working on, minding their own business, they loosened the lug nuts on all his tires. So when he went home in the morning at 60 miles an hour down the highway, all his tires fell off. Take a look at this. That's the story. That was fun. So 16-year-old kid never came back because, we don't want problems. And then we had all sorts of issues after that. We had to we had to work with construction companies and other unions and get people, because we can't have that kind of thing going on. And we had no, what are you going to do? That's what happens, right? But that's how seriously they take it. If it's a union job, someone who's not union shows up, and I've had this happen. I was on a job in Boston for another store. This is now and period where the company has the center. One of the guys, somebody showed up for an emergency call because it was an emergency. We got the first person we could get, not thinking, well, this guy's not union. We had plumbers, we had electricians, we had carpenters, we had general construction, all sorts of masonry. We had everything going. This is like a full remodel. This is like a big deal. So excited to be here and to talk about our new technology. So this guy shows up because you got to fix the elevator. It takes it's like a 5-minute job. But I don't know how to fix an elevator. You tell me that I'll fix it. But we had to call somebody. So we guess somebody called in. And I'm going to pause this again because no one wants to watch it. We guess somebody called in, and turns out he wasn't union. Didn't know. All the rest of the union members found out, and they all walked out the door, and they all stood in front chanting that we were, they were on strike. I was like, what the frick? It's like, hello? That is that kind of stuff. I'm like, dude, just come talk to me and say, hey, I got a problem. They don't do that. They want to flex muscle. They want to be tough. Okay. My father was part of the union when he was younger. Then he had his own business after that, but it seemed to help him when he was younger get jobs and whatnot. There's a lot of good stuff, but that's just my experience. And I'm sure they do a lot of good things. But this is my experience. And I got a few others that are just kind of like, really, it's just. Oh, this is one. I love this one. If you've ever been in a Target store, they have these red tubs that the workers use to push merchandise around. There's like 40 of them in each store because they're all in the back. We use them to move merchandise around. And it was an electrician union member, and his contract said he was supposed to do a specific job. Well, not in his contract, it didn't specifically tell him that he was to move anything out of his way to get to the panel that he needed to work on, the electrical panel he needed to work on. Well, one of my guys, who's just like a regular guy making $9 an hour, taking boxes off a shelf to go stock the aisles so people could shop, had his tub in front of the electrical panel because that's where the merchandise was that he was loading it. That's where he left, and he went to go use the bathroom or something. So I come across, I walk, and I see the electrician just standing there. He's doing nothing, not moving, just standing there, staring at the electrical panel with the red tub in between him and the electrical panel. I asked, I said, what's going on? He's like, well, I need to work on an electrical panel. I was like, okay, well, go ahead. He's like, nope. I go, why not? He goes, it's not in my contract. I'm not getting paid to move that tub out of the way. Okay. So I had to move the tub out of the way so he could take 2 steps to the electrical panel. So anyways, that's my, but as a teacher, as a certified teacher, when I was a certified teacher, the union, had some really good things going on for the teacher union. And we can badmouth the teachers union all you want, but they get their own problems. Unions have their own problems. All unions have their own problems. But there's some good stuff that goes on, right? Benefits and things like that. That's the good stuff, That's the good stuff. But there's a lot of just nastiness. There's some nastiness in it. And I guess that's why I shied away from going into anything that had a union type atmosphere into it. And all that. So, anyways, unions. But it is Black Friday, so we are here. So Amazon's going to hurt on Black Friday, but First of all, what is Black Friday? I know this story. I've worked retail for so long. I know this story. Anyways, Black Friday is called Black Friday because it's the day it's the time period. It started in the mid 20th century, right? And some people place it around Philadelphia when stores started to do this, open up and have these big sales and celebrate that day after Thanksgiving. And it became a global phenomenon after that. It was an American thing. It's primarily American, but now you see it in Australia and the UK, around Europe and things. Basically, all it is the day in which retailers or corporations make enough money for the year that they go from red, which means that they're losing money or they haven't turned a profit, and they go into the black. And they've turned a profit for the year. That's all it is. That's why they call it Black Friday, because so many people go and shop and billions of dollars are spent that most companies, most retailers, if it's a decent year, and I think this year will be a decent year because people love, and especially in the United States, love spending money. They call it Black Friday because most corporations and retailers will now have an overall profit for the year. They can say we made a profit, whether it's Target or the local store down the street, whatever, or Amazon or whatever, right? They've turned a profit. That is what Black Friday is. And it used to be 20 years ago. Now, when I joined retail, just before the turn of the century, the 20th century, right before it became the 21st century, right before Y2K. If you don't know what Y2K is, go ahead and look it up. Have some fun with that and see how stupid we were back then. The planes are going to fall out of the sky. Seriously, this is stuff we thought of. Everything's going to shut down. No, it didn't, but okay. So when I joined retail, Black Friday was a big deal because there was no online shopping. There was nothing that didn't exist, right? So we would show up. If you worked let's say it was a Target store. No matter what, you just didn't have the day off. There was no day off. Not for religious reasons. You couldn't call in sick. There was no, I can't make it. There was, my grandmother is in the hospital. Nothing. You don't call out. It's all hands on deck. Now, I've been in a Target store. When I went back to the United States about a year ago, I walked into a Target store and I'm like, where is everybody? As in, like, where are all the employees? When I started with Target, there, like, it was like Black Friday, every register open, every register manned, people in every aisle, everybody stationed everywhere. It was like it was almost like a battle plan. As a manager, you had to draw up and be like, the TV stacks are over here and it's manned by these many people and the replenishment's coming. It's like, it was strategic. It took weeks. It took weeks of planning. It was actually time that days I would go and days off I would go. And my wife hated this. She's like, it's your day off. I'm like, I know, but I still have to go in. She's like, why? I go, because it's Black Friday planning and I've got to, draw maps of the store and where each individual and who's going to go on break when. Everything was just so strategized. And there was so much merchandise just shoved in there. It was crazy. And then there was no line control. I mean, line control or crowd control became a thing after people started dying. And I've had some horror stories from Black Friday. I mean, I've had horror stories throughout retail. I think, I made a comment. I'm doing a movie review that I'm going to release tomorrow by Retro Movie Reviews, Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I say something, and I said, if you want to see the worst of humanity, become a cop or become a retail employee. You'll see the worst of humanity. You'll see it. And I did retail, like I said, for 20 years. I've seen the worst of humanity. I've seen it. I've seen things that you'd be like, what the frig? So crowd control. So you have massive amounts of people lined up. Some people camp out. Like, I never understood that. I don't shop Black Friday. I worked Black Friday. I never even shop Black. I wouldn't. Get me, whatever I got to work, I'll work and I'll go home. Just get me out of there. Get me out of there. Let me get home. Right? Never mind Thanksgiving. Most people, old school employees, retail employees, remember Thanksgiving. You get to wake up that day, have a little Thanksgiving turkey early in the day, and then you had to go to sleep because you had to come back to work. Well, they started, we're opening at 6 a.m. Like this year, I think most stores open at 6 a.m., right? People are lucky who work and say, I have to be there at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m., whatever. They started opening at 6 a.m., then 4 a.m. And then in Massachusetts, there was a law where I was working at that time for Target. There was a law where it's like, because of the holiday, they're called blue laws, right? Working laws, right? They're to protect workers, give people holidays. We couldn't open until 5 minutes past 1 a.m. on the Friday after Thanksgiving, right? And that's what we did. So we were all there at I remember that year. I ate my dinner, sent them out, kissed my wife and kids, and they're like, Daddy, it's Thanksgiving. Don't you want to hang out, watch football? Daddy's got to sleep because Daddy's got to be at work in 8 hours. Wake up, go, make sure everybody's there. There's just 200 employees at 10:30, 11 a.m. We all look like crap. We all feel like crap because we all ate turkey. We all just want to be relaxing. We didn't get the holiday we wanted. Anyways, so we can open up for the lines of people who have been camping out for the deal of the century on whatever TV that they bought that year or whatever was on sale that year at 1:05 a.m. And then a couple of years after that, or a year after that, it was like, we're just going to open on Thanksgiving. Some stores just open on Thanksgiving. Some stores 24 hours. Hey. And I'm like, does the holiday ever matter? And then I began to think, and my wife said it to me best, Thanksgiving's not the holiday. That's not the event. The event is shopping because it's America. She's from a different country and she sees it. She's like, wow, you guys, that's all you do is shop. She looks at Christmas. She's like, why is Christmas all about buying stuff? And we'll get into that. I'll get into that in another broadcast, another stream. The difference between celebrating the holidays down here in Mexico versus the United States. Woohoo. My wife saved me. If she can hear me, you saved my soul. She's listening. She's probably laughing. She worked Target too, and she's like, these people are crazy. Anyways, Black Friday, so it's not what it used to be because there's so much online shopping now. I'm sure there are lines and whatnot. It's more organized and orderly. They hand out tickets and whatnot. Now, not in my day. Not in my day. There was one day I was actually on top of a stack of television, standing on top, because I was busy. They were handing them up to me, and because we were getting ready to open, it's 5 minutes open, handing them, and I'm literally just building this Lego block of friggin' second-rate Korean TVs. I don't even remember the brand. So, I mean, but I'm stacking these things up there, and they're on sale for like, $100, and you get this 40-inch TV. Back in the day, 40 inches were like you see 90-inch TVs, 100-inch TVs. Now it's like, we didn't have those. A 40-inch TV, you were the man, right? So, and a 32-inch TV, or just an LCD alone, back 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Well, I didn't get down off the stack in time, and they open the doors, and here comes people running. I mean, there's no order. There's no people getting mauled, people getting crushed, cops doing their best. We had police there. They're doing the best. 4 cops against 500, 600, 700 people, 1,000 people trying to run in through a store in an entranceway. There's no way to control that if you don't pre-plan it, or do the work beforehand outside and have some real decent crowd control and lines and whatnot. So I'm up on the stack of TVs, and people are just pulling them like Jenga. And I'm just like trying to stay up there. And literally, it was like watching ants just attack a piece of food on the ground. Right? And just there I go. I just surfed my way down and then fell onto the carpet where the clothing was. And no one helped me up because they didn't care. They had their TV. They didn't give a shit. But yeah, that was one Black Friday. I remember. It's just great. The funniest to me Black Friday story that I have was back in, I think it was 2003. I don't know. I don't know if these things still exist. Personal DVD players. These little, they're about the size of, probably the size, some of them the size of this book, right? They just pop open as the screen, you pop, so it's a portable DVD player. Which no one really gives a shit now about, because you got your phone, no one DVDs. But back in 2003, these things were all the rage, and Sony had one, and we were going to discount it heavily. Like, I'm talking like 65% off at Target. Now, the store I was working at was a brand new store. We had just built it. We just opened it 4 months previous. I mean, brand new. I was really proud of it. And I was one of the assistant managers that helped build it, helped staff it, all that. It was our first Black Friday, first Christmas season. We're really excited. But we're in a small town, or a smaller area, not a huge trafficked area, or so they thought. So they only sent us 7 of these things for the entire Black Friday weekend, for something that was taking center stage in one of the pages of their flyers for Black Friday. And by the way, Black Friday flyers, they leak online all the time. For us, when we got them like a week early, like they were we had to sign them out just to look at them to see what was in them. Just in a it was like these things are top secret. I had to sit in a special office with the door closed, the door locked, sign it in, sign it out, just so I can mentally get an idea, like, oh, what do I need to prepare as a merchant to have out there? Like, what am I going to, now it's just like, whatever. It's a month before Black Friday. Here are the deals, so things have changed much, a lot. So anyways, these personal DVD players, these are by Sony. I remember these vividly. So they send us 7 of them. And that Black Friday, so we get there, and we weren't expecting a crowd because it was a small, not a large traffic. It wasn't a high volume Target. We were wrong. The company itself predicted that wrong. There was probably 800 people waiting to get into the store in line. Okay. Now, electronics is at the back of the store, the entrance at the front. I'm at the back of the store with my head of security, because that's where all the electronics and the toys are. That's where the action's at on Black Friday. Electronics, toys, and then seasonal around the corner with the trees and all that stuff. But you know what? That's pretty much self-serve. Pick up a tree and go. There's a couple of people there. It's toys and electronics. That's the big deal. And then right down to some of the clothing and all that stuff. But anyways, toys and electronics. And then back in the day, you had what we called the boat, the camera boat, where all the cameras were on display. So we had the personal DVD players on display there, but also the 7 for sale stacked right at the floor, stack of them between me and my security guy. The third player in this, well, the fourth player, the third player is the crowd of people that are going to come busting through the door in a minute. The fourth player in this whole drama is a guy named Phil. I love Phil. He was a young kid, probably 19 at the time, if I remember, maybe 20. Real cool dude, real nice dude. Love talking to him. I'm not going to give his last name just to protect his, because I don't know if he wants me. But Phil. That's Phil. And he was a stoner. How do I know he was a stoner? Believe me, I know he was a stoner, but I didn't care. Loved the kid. He did his work. Loved him. Great guy. But sometimes he thought he was doing the right thing. He didn't think through the consequences sometimes. So anyways, that'll come into play. So over the walkie-talkies, we hear them, we're ready to open the doors, we're opening the doors, blah, blah, blah. And all I hear is just a stampede. I can hear it. It's like horses running through a field of all these people coming down to the electronics section. And there I am with my security guy. And we're like, oh, crap. We're going to get killed, right? And then everybody, just a horde of people, they hit the camera boat. The camera boat actually shifts a little bit off its friggin' foundation on the tiles. And it's just chaos. It's just, okay, we get the first 7 people that want personal DVD players. Sony, here you go, 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 here you go. Done. That's it. Done. And I have to send her, we're out of the Sony personal DVD players. We're out. People are pissed. They've been waiting in line for hours. And within a matter of less than 30 seconds, their dreams are gone for a happy Christmas. Because if they didn't have that personal DVD player by Sony for that price, Christmas was ruined. And this is the real, and I'm being over dramatic here, but you'll see why. There was one woman who just wouldn't take no for an answer. And normally in customer service, the customer is always right. But if I don't have the item, I even said to her, listen, here's this other brand. And I know it was not a great brand. It's a second tier brand. I said, here's this other brand. I'll give you the same percentage off of the price for this one. No, she was pissed. She started calling me, and this is, I guess, before we had the term Karen. I think this is Karen Zero. Like, there's patient zero when there's a pandemic. This was Karen Zero. I think I actually helped create the whole Karen. I might be at fault for Karens in the world. I might be the guy that actually created Karens. So this woman starts calling me every damn name in the book, and I'm a fresh new. I'm a new father, new house, new mortgage, all that. Right. The worst thing I want to do is have a problem at work where I might feel like I'm going to have a problem at work where I could lose my job. So anyways, head of security, he walks off, right? I'm still there, and I'm listening. I'm not even arguing. I'm just listening. This woman is just berating me. She up and down. I mean, calling me every name in the book. And I'm just like, I'm just saying, nothing I can do, man. You can call me every name in the book. I can't produce that item for you. I'm sorry you wait, apologizing every which way, trying to find a solution every which way. Meanwhile, my head of security comes back and he's standing next to me and he's helping other people, right? He was a great guy. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Phil. And and I'm like, why isn't Phil helping customers in the busy electronics section? He's like the electronics guy, the entertainment guy. He should be there helping everybody. But for some reason, at some point in time, Phil disappeared to the back. Because there's a separate stockroom for all the electronics and DVDs. And here comes Phil walking back. And I see he's got 2 boxes, one under each arm. And he's just do. And there's Eric next to me, and I'm right over here. Me and Eric right here. Phil walks up, right between me. Now, this woman is berating me. She was not the first person to be left out of, like, there were people ahead of her that have rain checks with numbers on them. So it's like rain check number 1. If the item comes back in stock tomorrow, they'll get the same, right? So this woman is still out of luck. Phil takes these 2 boxes, and they are 2 extra personal DVD players. These Sonys, the ones everybody's pissed off about not having and not getting, because we only had 7 of them. Phil holds them up in the air above his head, and he literally yells out, "I's got 2. Who wants them?" And I'm like, oh shit. I look at Eric, oh shit. I look at all the people, oh shit. There is just there's about to be Lord of the Flies in this place. Now, thankfully, Eric understood and knew, he remembered who the 2 people was, because he was the one handing out the rain checks at first, like number 1, number 2. He grabbed both, and he handed them to the two people who deserved them because they were the ones that were in line first that did not get those items. What's fair is fair. Meanwhile, Karen Zero is now really pissed off because not only has she been shit out of luck once, she's shit out of luck twice, and this one it looks like it's just getting thrown in her face, which really was not my intention. It's just now Phil has disappeared again. I don't know where Phil's gone. Phil's eyes got two. I started a shitstorm, Phil, and I'm gone. Bye, Phil. Love you, Phil. I still love Phil. Anyways, so I'm like, okay, this woman is pissed off, and she disappears for a few seconds. I take that moment to go, okay, I'm going to go check on the toy area because it's just every aisle is filled with people just grabbing everything. Things are falling. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go make sure my team is okay. First thing I want to make sure is the people who are working for me are okay, because obviously if I just got that from Karen Zero, who knows what everybody else is getting. But everybody else was cool. Of course, it was entertaining because a lot of the people who were shopping and then keeping one eye on that because it was dinner. It's like shopping and a show, right? But I kept my cool. Meanwhile, about a few seconds later, as I'm walking through the toy aisles, like the little girls' toy aisles, little boys, like I'm talking toddler stuff, like baby stuff. The woman, Karen Zero's behind me because I know her voice by now, and she is just, you fat piece of shit, you this, whatnot. I mean, just you dickless, just everything. Everything. Insulting me every which way you can insult a man. Finally, I've had enough. I was going to turn around and say, listen, you can either shop here or you can leave. All right, at that point, I had a right to say, look, get the hell out of my store. That's what I was going to say. But as I turned to face her, Karen decided that talking was over. It was time to hock a loogie in my face. And that's exactly what Karen Zero did. As I turned, all I heard was, and as I turned, boom, right in my left eye. I love people. I stayed in retail for 18 years after that. I must love punishment. Anyways, Eric, who I just said his name, my head of security, saw that incident and escorted Karen Zero out. No, I did not file charges. No, I didn't. Didn't do any of that. I was just like, you know what? I just want to keep my job. I just want to pay my mortgage. I just want to put food on my table. I want to take care of my family. I don't need to cause a problem. Probably should have. My wife's silly. You probably should have. But that was one of my first ever large Black Friday. Every Black Friday you have a problem, but that was one where it's like when you get spit on. Now I've been in retail throughout all these years. I've been spit on, hit, punched, kicked, thrown down, run over by carts. I've had multiple items thrown at me for various reasons, and choosing because you say no to somebody. I've had death threats. I've had crank phone calls. I've had, before the internet, I guess you call it swatting. I don't know, at my place of business. I've had the IRS show up. I've had IRS agents show up, looking into things. I've had FBI show up. I've had police show up. I've had fire show up. I've had all sorts of emergencies, missing kids, fires, fun stuff, thefts, dead bodies in the bathroom, homeless men showering or bathing in the sink in the men's room. It's always fun when you walk into the men's room at 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning to take a piss. And in the public men's room, and there's a homeless guy, hairier than a yak, buck ass naked with one leg up on the sink with the water running, and he's just washing his balls. And the only thing you can think to say is, you can't do that here. And then you leave because you just call the cops at that point. Drug busts, drug deals, overdoses by employees and customers, everything. But probably the time I've had mass shooting incidents, shooting incidents where, you got to do a lockdown. I've had those. And one of those helped me decide, you know what, I don't want to do this job anymore. I think when you go through a lockdown because of a mass shooting incident, and you get through it, and it's like the implications of what you just went through and all that stuff, it changes your perspective of life, and that helped me get out of retail. That only happened a few years ago. Anyways, probably the time I came close to death, the closest I came to death there was a Black Friday. So I worked at a store that the team, I ran the whole overnight team, the logistics team. Now the whole team, no, I shouldn't say the whole team, 99% of the team was from Brazil or Mexico, who don't give a shit about Thanksgiving. If I said to them, hey, you guys want to work on Thursday and get time and a half? They're like, yes, we do. Like, you guys don't care about Thanksgiving? No, that's an American holiday. Put us to work. Fantastic. My wife's not a big fan of Thanksgiving. Fine. So I tell them, we're gonna have, I'm going to go in. Stores closed. We go in. We're there late afternoon, all the way to the night into the next morning. For when they open up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And had a great time. No issues. We made the store look pretty and full and everything. It was really successful. Had a great night. We had food, all this, right? All right. Now, nowadays, at least when I left Target, the rule was that if you're overnight past store hours, at a certain point, you're in a lockdown mode. You're not allowed to go outside, even if you're on break. So if you're a smoker, good luck. Sorry, you can't have a cigarette. They hadn't instituted those rules yet. There's a machine in the back rooms of every Target called a baler. And what does this do? You take all the cardboard, you throw it in there, and it crushes it down into a half-ton bale of cardboard that's wired together. It's heavy as shit. You use a hand fork or to pull it along on a pallet. And so this particular store I worked in the back room, we had done all our initial unloading of a truck. Everything was closed up. And I had this big old thing of cardboard, and I was going to wheel it out of the way because it was in the way, and I was going to wheel it, and where these things go was out the back doors of the dock down a ramp. And these double doors are the main entrance to the back room where all the merchandise is. And I'm pulling this thing backwards, and for some reason I looked up at the clock and I said, you know what, guys? So to everybody in the crew as they're walking off to the main store to start putting merchandise on the shelves, I said, hey guys, you know what? This is a good time to take our first break. And I just left the cardboard bale there. And I said, I'll take it out later. It's not in the way anymore. Everything's locked up back here. Let's go up front and take our break. Let's have something to eat. We're all here on our days off. Yeah, you're getting paid, but you know what? I want to be happy you guys came in and whatnot. It's funny. Trying to treat everybody nice. Something in my head made me look at the clock and go, you know what? We should take a break. What I'm doing right now isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. I walked off. Anyways, I went through the entire rest of the night. No issues, no problems, never thinking a thing. Then my boss comes in, the store manager. And he does his roundabout, and I'm getting ready to leave, and everybody, right? Everything's great. I walk him around. Everything's great, and he's all happy, whatnot. Then he gets called into the security office where my buddy Eric is, because he moves stores with me. And I'm getting ready to leave, and then all of a sudden, my boss pops his head out of security. Now, I don't go into the security office. And in my role, there's only 2 or 3 select people that actually go into that office because where all the cameras are, inside, outside cameras, I don't want any part of that office, right? To be called into that office is a bad thing. Like you don't ever get good, like if you're going to get a raise, you don't get called into that office. To get called into that office, it's like you stole something, you hurt somebody, you're getting fired or arrested, or both. So I avoided that office like the plague, even though my best friend in the whole store, that's where his office was. I told him, you want to see me? You come out of that office. I don't want any part of that office. So anyways, so my boss, whose name is Mike, pops his head out. And he says, can I see you in here, Matt? And I'm like, oh, crap. Like, I know I didn't do anything wrong. So I'm like, all right, who on my team just really did something really bad that I'm getting called into this office for the first time in, like, ever? So I go in there. And they said, come into this office. So it's a main office. And then you get the room with all the cameras and monitors, which I really don't want. I don't want to know nothing about that room. I don't want to know where the cameras are. I don't want to know what they're looking at. I don't want to know what they're seeing. I don't want to know. I just don't want to know. Ignorance is bliss. But they call me into that room. So I get into that room. And there's my buddy Ark. He's standing there and he's got his arms folded and he's got this look on his face like something is really bothering him. Then I look at my boss, who I've known for 2 or 3 years at this point, and I have a really good relationship with him, and he's always happy. Like, unless you really screw up, he's always happy. But he's sitting there, and he's ghost white, and he's sweating. And I'm like, what in the frig is going on here? I'm like, what did I walk into? And he said, Matt, would you like to Take a seat. So sure. Take a seat. And then they show me 2 camera feeds. They put them up on the monitor. So we need you to watch this. Okay. The first camera feed is the camera of the long shot of the back room where I was, where you see me walking backwards towards the double doors, where I would go outside and leave this big bale of cardboard, like I do every night, every 5-6 nights a week, every week, year round. All right, it's what I do. All right, and then you see me stop, and I say, okay, well, the other camera is the camera that's monitoring the door, those double doors from the outside. On the outside, at the same time, are 3 men in ski masks. One of them's got a crowbar, one of them's got bolt cutters, the other one's got a gun. And they're looking at me through the window. Now, I can't see because it's light inside, dark outside. I can't see nothing outside. Nor did I notice anything. Nor did I look out the window. Why would I? Right? Never had a problem, never had an issue, right? But basically, they were waiting to see me come out those doors, because those doors would also give them access way to another hallway, which would give them access way to the rest of the mall, strip mall, which would give them an access way to the GameStop, where the GameStop was holding about 100 Wiis when Wiis first came out. And that's really what they're after, but they didn't care. They were going to come through. So the last thing we see is one of them climb up on the railing with the bolt cutters and cut the wires to the camera as it goes statically. Basically, they look at me and say, if you walked out that door, you were probably dead. And that's how I went home that day on that Black Friday. And I was like, wow. And that's kind of like, that stays with you, right? And for a long, long time, that stayed with me. For a long, long time, it was paranoid. Now I talk about it like, okay, yeah, I almost took one, or at least got hurt seriously. But those guys, they never got in. We had to call the police. And so it's Black Friday. There's a ton of police out back doing this, doing that. But I just looked, after watching, I just looked at her and said, I'm going to go home to my wife and kids. At the time, my kids were babies. They were like 2 and 1. And I went home. I'm not even sure I told my wife right away. I think I told my wife like later on that day. I think she just assumed I was tired or exhausted, because I went home and fell asleep right away. I just, went home, saw them, kissed them, went to bed. So anyways, Black Friday can be real interesting. You never know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. But Tales of Retail, I always thought I should write a book called Tales of Retail, because I've had so much stuff that happens. It's interesting. It's just, you never know what door you're going to walk through and what you're going to see, because humans are coming in and out, in and out, in and out. And humanity can be ugly, it can be awesome. Sometimes you get some awesome stuff, but you don't usually remember the awesome stuff. You remember the stuff that went terribly wrong. So Black Friday is not what it used to be. And thank God for that. Because it used to be it was like rolling the dice, man. You could get hurt. People died on Black Friday. People got trampled on Black Friday. People got into fights on Black Friday. There's just all sorts of stuff that goes wrong. Because people they have this fear, like they need this, and that's American culture. I've never seen, by the way, Karens, they don't exist in Mexico. I've never met a Karen. Haven't. Not yet. Not once. Almost 5 years of living it. Haven't met a Karen. It just doesn't happen. I've seen Americans come down here and they act like Americans do. And it's hilarious because this one guy who's in Perry Sur. Perry Sur is one of the largest, nicest, most luxurious malls in all of Mexico City. It's incredible. It's awesome to go hang out there. And there was this one American, and he was pissed off. Like, he didn't get his special treatment or something, or he felt like he needed something to satisfy him. So he decided to cause a problem, which here they don't play with that. Here comes the police, and the guy's like, and the guy started yelling at the police officer, I'm going to call the embassy and report you. And the police looking at him like, I don't care what embassy you call. This is Mexico, asshole. And they escorted this guy out in a very rude fashion. They don't put up with it. As far as shoplifting, I dare anybody in America who thinks that shoplifting is a good idea and practices shoplifting, like you see those people in San Francisco, people make a living. There are rings. There's actually organized rings of shoplifters, and I've caught them working operations and asset protection and working logistics for Target. But I dare you to come down here and try it, because most stores have a police officer in it, and it's not just some guy sitting on a stool reading a newspaper like you see here. They're geared up. They have full tactical gear on, and they're holding an automatic weapon. They're serious. They're like, I asked my wife, what are they for? Like, if you try to steal something and run, they will shoot you first. They're not going to ask questions. They will just shoot you first. They will open fire. I was like, good to know. Not like I would ever steal anything, but I was like, good to know. I don't think I've ever seen shoplift. I don't think I've ever seen a shoplifting incident go down in all the time that I've been here. And we've spent a lot of time because malls are fun. Right? Go to the movies, they have movies. A lot of malls have giant supermarkets attached to them. So I have yet to see someone hauled off in handcuffs besides the American dude. Which, good, because stop acting like an American asshole when you come to my country. All right. Hello. There we go. All right. Gotta get this thing fixed. I've yet to see that happen. Just doesn't. I'm sure there is some retail theft, but none that I can ever. I just, you don't see it. You don't see it. I'm sure in the little mom and pop stores it happens more, but at the big stuff, the malls, no, haven't seen it. Anyways, let me get out of this. Boom. There we go. Yes, my mic is getting picked up. So Black Friday. So if you're going out shopping, make sure you need it. Make sure it's something that you need. Make sure it's something you want. Make sure it's something, like, literally, take it from me. Black Friday deals. I've seen 21 years of Black Friday deals come and go. They're not that great. Sometimes you get better deals later on in the year. Sometimes you're buying crap. Wait for the name brands to go on sale and spend a little extra and get something quality. What's funny too is, here's something. If you really want to see something funny, go into a Target store the day before Thanksgiving or the day Black Friday or during Black Friday, after you've done everything you want to do in Black Friday on in a Target store, or probably a Walmart too as well. This is great. You want to really upset strangers or just really piss off a stranger. Go into these stores, and when you walk down an aisle, you notice that the bottom shelf of an aisle, they call it the base deck, right? The the one that's almost like it's sitting on the floor. Those white shelves or whatever, they lift up off those black foundational railings. They just lift up right away. Boom. It's like just opening your computer. And the fun part is to see what everybody's hidden underneath those base decks for later, right? Whether it's an employee who's like, I really want this item, but but if I buy it while I'm working or buy it before the customer has a chance to buy it, I'll lose my job. So they hide it. They throw it under a base deck. Sometimes they'll take it, move it, and if it's a toy, they'll move it to where the towels are, and they'll put it underneath there. I'm not saying go open up every base deck, but they're fun. And every now and again, I would go around with my buddy from security, and we would just lift up base decks. We say, we're going to do toys today. We'd lift up base decks. Find all the merchandise that would not be counted in inventory because that's shrink that's lost, but also all the merchandise be like, oh, someone's holding that. Someone's trying to keep that from being sold so they can come back here later. You kind of figure it out, right? You kind of know like what's what and who's who. But customers do that too. They'll take it and they'll just throw it underneath there and kind of hide it. Hidden merchandise, right? People are like, oh, this shelf is a mess because these items are out of place. Well, sometimes that's on purpose because either the employee or the customer did that to think that they're hiding a piece of merchandise so they can come back and get it later because they didn't have enough money in the ATM right now. They got to go home, get another card, whatever. All sorts of excuses for them to do that. So, you lift up that base deck, you find that merchandise, you just take it out, you put it back where it belongs so it'll sell. And then like 2 hours later, the guy you don't even have to be there. Just know that 2 hours later, that person who put it there that was just looking to get that in a kind of a shady way is going to be highly disappointed that his shadiness did not work. It's funny. It's really funny. I see I just one store where these two guys used to come in at different in the mornings. They were Hot Wheels collectors. These are seriously disturbed people. These types of collectors. Like, I've collected things in the past. I've had collections of action figures and things like that. These dudes are able to tell me what's in my inventory before I even see it. They have manifest lists from, let's say it's Hot Wheels, Mattel. They know what the box is, what the number of the box is, the serial number of the box is, the shipping label on the box, when it was shipped, when it arrived, when it was sorted off my truck into my back room. So they know what's in that box as well. If there's a special treasure Hot Wheel or hidden treasure or chaser piece, they call them. And they would come in as I'm finishing up, and they would come and they would find me and be like, "Where's this Hot Wheel?" I don't know, what the frig are you talking about? I don't bother to look, or my people don't bother to look. When they open up a box of Hot Wheels, they fit as many of them on the peg that can fit, and the rest go to the back. They would go nuts. If I want this one, and they would find employees that would be, go look for this one. And you're not supposed to do that, but they would send them to go look for this one. They'd have like seizures almost. They're spazzing out like, I gotta have my Hot Wheel. These are grown men who I don't think have families, because I don't think people would be able to stand them. These are grown men, and they look and smell just exactly how you think they would. But sometimes they wouldn't have the ability to pay for the item right away, or they knew a sale was coming up, and they would take them and they would throw them under the base deck, and I would find them later. Sometimes I would buy them just for fun and give them to my kids. Like, open these suckers up, guys. And this is some chaser piece. Who knows? Probably sell it for 10 times its worth on eBay or something like that, or whatnot. These guys would get into fist fights over Hot Wheels. Like, they would grab this. There'd be the special Hot Wheel right there on the peg, like a shining religious object. It's like the Holy Grail is there, right? And each of them, one grabs from the right, one grabs from the left. It's mine. It's mine. And I've had I've had to break up fist fights between grown men over Hot Wheels, among other things. It's not the only Hot Wheel. I grown men over everything. So yeah, retail. If you work retail, like I said at the beginning of this video, if you work retail, you have all the blessings of my heart, all of them. And if someone says to you, you're not good at your job, it's not because you're not good at your job. It's because humanity is not good to you, probably. You've probably had enough. After a while, you become jaded. I've learned that. People who just work retail as a part-time job to make some money for their family, like a regular cashier, whatnot, 80% of them don't last past the 6 month to a year period. Why? Because you run out, like, it saps everything. Like, you could start out these jobs with all the empathy in the world, all the care in the world. You want to do the greatest job in the world, be service, all this, whatnot. You want to be great. You want to be the best damn customer service representative you can be. People will drain that from you. It will just absolutely drain. By the end of your 8-hour shift, you hate the world. And then you go home and you kind of replenish that. You see people you love and whatnot, hang out, something to eat, fill it back up. After a while, though, after doing that for 6 months to a year, it's gone. It's gone. And you just hate the world. And you start going home and people are like, you've changed. Yeah. I was once sitting in my father's house. And this is, it had to be back 2008, 2009. And I was still wearing red and khaki because I'd just come from work. And nothing bad had happened that day. Nothing bad had happened. I was sitting in my father's, I brought my wife with the kids to visit grandpa. Sitting there in a chair. My father, he's in the kitchen. And he's just looking at me. He's kind of making some food for everybody because he liked to cook, And he looks at me and he calls my name and he says, you don't look good. He goes, actually, you don't look well. And I now know what he means after being able to look back at it. It just drains you. You just lose it. You just lose the idea. When you deal with people like that day in and day out, you just kind of lose the idea of like, oh, okay, people suck. And that's why I think I just don't like, my wife's like, you want to go shopping? Sometimes no, sometimes yeah. So yeah. So again, if you work retail, especially this year or any year, you have my blessings, and you have all the empathy I can give you. I don't have much left after working. My wife tells me, you don't have any empathy. I said, I work retail for 21 years. I don't have empathy. I don't have it. I know what it is. I don't want it anymore. It's like a defensive mechanism. So that's Black Friday. Black Friday will just tear your guts out as a retail employee. And like I said, if you're going, just make sure it's something you really, 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 really want that you can't get online. Again, I just don't get these people who are like, I've been here since Tuesday. Like, you literally lived in a tent on a sidewalk so you can get 60% off a television. I don't want to tell anybody how to live their life, and I love capitalism as much as the next guy, but come on, there's got to be a limit sometimes. You know? You miss Thanksgiving with your family, so you can get a TV. You brought someone along. You had to convince someone else to come with you so they could save your spot while you get up and go find a bathroom. All right? You see this in the Northeast where it's friggin' freezing, or in Michigan. It's friggin' freezing. It's cold. You wouldn't wish that on a broke dick dog to be out in that weather. But they do. They go out. They have these special weather tents and everything, sleeping bags and chairs, and people. They have delivery schedules of when they're going to get food from their family. It's a fucking TV, people. It's a fucking TV, or it's a PlayStation or whatnot. Oh, the Wii's. The Wii's were crazy. We actually, after a while, people would call stores and they'd be like, they call, you get the operator for the store. Every store had an operator. Be like, and the person would ask, hey, do you have any, can I connect me to electronics? And they want to be sent to, so we transfer from electronics and the person electronics. Hello, and the customer would say on the phone, do you have any Wii's? And the guy would be like, no, we're sold out. We're not going to get any. We don't know when we're going to get them. After a while, there was so many phone calls that year for Wii's. Literally, if you called my Target store, they were answering the phone. Thank you for calling Target so-and-so. I won't give you the name. Say Boston. Thank you for calling Target Boston. We have no Wii's. How may I help you? They literally added that as part of their message. And it was answering, and 90% of the calls they got, it answered it. They'd be like, all right, cool. And they hung up. It's just the lengths people will go to for an item that they think they need. I have a Wii. I had a Wii. Honey, do we still have a Wii? I think we got rid of it. I don't even know we bought a Wii. Kids had a Wii. It was the rage. I don't even know if we have that thing anymore. I think we probably gave it away. We probably gave it to our nephew. She probably gave it away. Gave it away. You think about all the stuff that, like, I had to have it. You had to have it, right? Just, did you really at the moment need to have it? Because you don't have it now, probably. My PSP, gone. I don't know where it is. I probably gave it away. The original PSP. The original Nintendo DS, gone. But people had to have that item. They had to line up again. So retail is interesting. Working retail, you see the people that come into retail, the fights that they start. The drug addicts are fun. They're always at least mildly entertaining. We had a group of meth heads. So a lot of Target stores have Starbucks. And so this one particular one that I worked in had a Starbucks. It was an inner city store. And every morning at 7:00, the methadone clinic across the street would let out, because you can't stay there during the day. You can only stay there during the night. So that would let out. And so you'd have like this group of like 7 or 8 meth heads come over to the Target, which opened at 8, walk in. For somehow they always had enough change to buy 1 cup of coffee and 1 newspaper. And they would all sit there all day long at the back table with 1 cup of coffee just getting cold. They weren't drinking it because they drank it. You can't sit there unless you have, for customers. Rotating pieces of newspaper to read. Friggin' hilarious, these people. I don't, granted, yes, they not the most hygienic people in the world. Yeah, they scared off customers just by the sight of them. But if you sat and listened to them for a little bit, comedy gold. Fucking comedy gold. They never bothered anybody. They never hurt anybody. They just needed a place to go that was warm. And they could afford an American cup of coffee, a small cup of coffee, black, no sugar, no cream. Boom. One time I pissed some people off. I bought them a round of coffee. I said, stay here all day, boys. Go ahead. This one's on the Gringo. I bought them all macchiatos, I think. The happiest day of their month, I tell you. They're having a blast. But yeah, the drug addicts are fun. Because most of them, they don't have the energy to do anything harmful to anybody. They're just there. They don't know. It's the people who have like real problems, like the Mad Crapper. Yeah, they finally caught that guy. Jesus Christ. He would just come in. We didn't know. We couldn't catch him. We couldn't figure out who it was. He would come in. He would take a shit. And he would take the shit and he would wipe it all over the walls of the men's room. And then leave. Finally, they caught him. I wasn't there that day. I really wanted to meet this guy. Like, I didn't want to touch him and go near him. I just wanted to see what this guy, I want to see if he had a motivation. Like what was the reason? Was this like street art or something? I don't know. I just wanted to see this dude. But the Mad Crapper, that was always fun. But anyways. Ooh, but it's been a fun time talking about retail Black Friday, and I'll talk more about retail later on. And I got plenty more stories when it comes to retail. I always try to pull out a few retail stories here and there. A lot of the crazy ones from Target, a lot of the weird ones. Crazy, Target got crazy because it's big box retail. Apple is, I think, more infuriating. Some of those stories are much more infuriating because you look at people and you go, really? You're that type of a-hole? Or that's really the position you like, literally people who wake up in the morning and decide this is the type of person I'm going to be when I walk in, I'm going to interact with people. I just have this thing where I'm like, really? Like that's a decision you made today to be that type of person. So, but like I said, I'm from Boston and I'm a douchebag, so it really kind of fit me. So whenever anybody came in and they were combative, they called me. And they all knew they could count on me because I was like, oh, you want to be a douchebag? You want to be combative? And this is like when I was working either in Texas or Michigan or California. There's no such a thing as a douchebag as a New England, Massachusetts douchebag. Let me just tell you all that right now. You've all seen Chris Evans play a douchebag, Bostonian douchebag. You've all seen Bill Burr play a boss. That's not acting. That's just who we are. That's who we are. You think you can insult me? You think I can't insult you? I can bring it right back. I can just infuriate you by just not even paying attention to you. I can infuriate you. Like, that's the worst. Like, people are just, I'm so angry. And I'm like, yep. And they want to see your reaction. They want you to get mad back at them. So they can say, you're mad. You're not supposed to. Or something like that. They want a reaction just so they can, it's just the game. You just say, mm-hmm. And nothing pisses them off more. I'm like, no, I'm listening. And they get mad. Like, well, why are you just looking at me? I'm listening. I want to make sure you get to say what you want to say. Just to be a douchebag is an art form. And ask my kids. You talk to when my kid gets here in about another couple of weeks and he's doing a podcast with me or doing the show with me, the stream. I keep calling this a podcast. I shouldn't call it a podcast. It's just a live stream. So it'll be late night with the Gringo and his son. He'll tell you, no, my dad can be a complete, like, I'm not real, like, I'm trying to be a nice guy. But if I got to go there, I'll go there. Like, I'm just well versed in it. But yeah. So this weekend, I wanted to see Moana. This weekend is not only shopping, it's movies. And I hope everybody goes out and has some fun. If you want to see a movie, see a movie. I wanted to see Moana 2. Like I said, I've never seen the first one. I got Disney Plus. I'll see the first one probably. But my wife just told me, she's like, most of the time when it's an animated kids movie, they don't send down the English one. Normally, any movie I can go in and see in English, and they have Spanish subtitles there. But the Disney ones and whatnot, they're so popular, they don't want to waste a theater. They don't want to waste a screening on an English version of it. So there are no English versions of Moana 2. It's tracking to do like almost $200 million this weekend. It's tracking to break records. Which makes me think, are they going to, Sonic 3 I want to see. Are they going to have that? The Lion King. What is it? Mufasa. And I want to see that because I want to review it. Not that I want to see it. I really don't want to see Mufasa. I really don't want to see Moana 2. Like personally, I'm not like, those aren't like movies I choose, like those are mine. That's my gig. Right? No, I want to review them. I like to review them for the channel, for you, to be entertaining, to create content. So I might not be able to do that. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep looking. Maybe I got lucky somewhere. Otherwise, I might have to find as I said the other day, an alternative form of viewing. Read into that what you want. Anyways. So yeah. And then Craven comes out December 13th. Actually looking forward to seeing Craven. I know people are so pissed that you make a Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man. Whatever. Craven the Hunter is a cool character. And actually I did if you want, go to one of my playlists is called Welcome to the Comic Verse. And I did a Craven the Hunter one with, because when Madam Web came out, Craven the Hunter and his family are the reason why the original Madam Web in the comics is dead. So I did a review of that comic. And so it's quite interesting, that whole storyline and what that whole character is for that. So I'm interested in seeing it, I'm interested in seeing it. I remember Todd McFarlane's first Spider-Man run. One of the first villains he tapped was Craven the Hunter. So hopefully it's good. Hopefully. So yeah, a lot of movie stuff coming up, and that'll be cool. So I just hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope it's a holiday weekend for you. If it's not, I hope you get through your work and you're able to spend some time with your family. Do what you got to do. Relax. More than ever, as I've gotten older, I've realized I wish I took more time off when I was younger. I wish I actually enjoyed my holidays more when I was younger. Instead of being so busy about, I want to get in my hours. I want to get more hours. I want to do overtime. I don't know. Anyways, we're not going to get into that right now. So anyways, with that, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Bless you if you're out there and you got to work. Again, get home as soon as possible. Enjoy your time. Enjoy your weekend. Have fun. Enjoy the holidays. It's the holiday season. And from south of the border, I'm still your reluctant gringo. Salud, a huevo, Feliz Navidad. And with that, we out for tonight.